Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. We have we've run across a couple of these recently, but today we have another, what I consider to be a pretty unique occupation that we want to expose you to, and maybe even get you talked into becoming a part of it. Our guest is LuAnn Parkington, who is seated on my left here, and she runs Ziggy's Tree Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, which is in northern Franklin County, and was new to me. I didn't know they were there. Apparently been there for some time, so we want to find out what that's all about. They also have a bird sanctuary is the primary occupation in Franklin County, and then they have another operation that takes care of small mammals up in Las Casas near Murfreesboro. So we'll talk briefly about that. So LuAnn Partington, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
And before we get into your unique occupation, how about telling us a little bit about LuAnn? Where you been all this time and doing what?
Well, I grew up in Ohio, went to Kent State University, and after I graduated, and of course thought I should be president of a company because I had a college degree, wasn't finding anything, and had a friend that lived out in California and said, I could come out there, look for a job, which I did. And after I'd been there a few years, I'd gotten transferred and was looking. After I transferred, I didn't know anybody where I lived, so thought, well, I'll find a place to volunteer. And this place called Wild Care in San Rafael, California. And the first day I volunteered, they sent baby birds home with me. So they got me hooked. That was...
Sent them home with you?
Yes, because at the time they weren't open extended hours when they first get babies in. It's like we have to feed them sun up to sundown, but the center was only open 9 to 5. So they sent baby birds home with me and got me hooked the first day. Then I became a regular volunteer there for about 15 years. And I was working for an insurance company. They started downsizing. I thought that was a perfect opportunity to take the money and run. And my folks had retired and had moved to Tullahoma, so I thought, well, I want to get closer to the family. Came back here and started volunteering at a wildlife center up in near Nashville, and then got a job down in one that was starting up in Chattanooga that unfortunately didn't make it. And it's at that point, because the way that Tennessee handles our permits, we have to have our own individual permits. It's not under the name of the facility. So I'd gotten my own permit and started doing the wild bird rehab out of my house.
LuAnn's permit.
Yeah, LuAnn's permit. Right. Yeah, I have one through the state of Tennessee and then also through U.S. Fish and Wildlife. The federal government handles all the permits for the migratory birds.
Okay.
So I got into that and been trying to support myself. I work part-time at Peebles here in town. Big shout out to them because they're doing a 30 days of giving and have picked Ziggy's Tree as their charity. So people can add $1 to their when they check out at the end of their shopping expedition, and then we get a check at the end of the month, which is very cool. I also edit the Tennessee Trails newsletter, and I play piano and organ down at the Deckard Presbyterian Church.
Okay.
So I stay a little bit busy.
Well, yeah, it sounds like maybe you're occupied most of the time. Okay. Well, with that, folks, let's take a short commercial break, and we'll find out what this organization is all about.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do,
Everyday Miracles, Life Care Center of Tullahoma. Tired of paying for monthly telephone service, expensive long-distance bills, and all those crazy taxes? Are you sick of spending money on telephone equipment, maintenance contracts, and service calls, all for a phone system that shackles you to 100-year-old technology and your desk? Stop it. It's time to ship your phone system to the cloud. What can the cloud do for you? Bring together remote offices, workers, and employees in the field. Make sure that you'll never miss calls by delivering them to multiple devices. Modernize faxing by allowing multiple faxes to be sent and received at once. And deliver to email. Get your voicemail messages instantly through email too. And take advantage of an endless supply of customizable features. Host My Calls can deliver the cloud. All of this technology with low upfront costs and not one penny in capital expense. It's time for a phone solution you'll truly love from Host My Calls. Call the number below.
Our guest today, folks, is Miss LuAnn Parkington, who is the head of the Ziggy's Tree Wildlife Sanctuary or Rehabilitation Center in northern Franklin County. And they have a very interesting operation that we know so little about. So we hope to be able to educate you some today. So LuAnn, let's sort of start at the beginning. What's the purpose of your organization?
Well, our main focus is to take in orphaned and injured wildlife, native wildlife, to Tennessee and try to get them back on the road to health and back out there into their natural habitats. Probably 90% of what we take in are babies. Angela Hensley, who's the founder and our mammal specialist up in Las Casas, specializes in small mammals. Right now she's got about 100 baby squirrels, probably 30 or 40 little opossums, and they've got about 20 little eastern cottontails, and one baby groundhog that's about this big, little tiny baby.
No polecats?
No. The state of Tennessee does not allow us to rehab skunks or bats because of the potential for rabies. So, it's like, unfortunately, when people call us with one of those species, we can't give them any good news, but just about anything else that we can help them out with. I specialize in songbirds, native species songbirds, get a lot of robins every year, Carolina wrens, mockingbirds, our state bird, and I'm also we're the only facility that actually specializes in songbirds. So I get all the chimney swifts that come in from border to border in Middle Tennessee because they are a bit labor intensive.
Yeah.
They never eat on their own.
What size organization do you have in Franklin County? Is that you free to talk about that? You got 1 acre, 10 acres?
I actually live on a half acre. I've got 3 flight cages in my backyard, 3 16-foot flight cages where the birds can build up their muscles. And then my actual rehab area is set up in my 2-car garage. I laugh with everybody because I had to build a carport for the car because the birds got the garage.
So your operation is on what?
It's about a half an acre. But it's like my property opens up to about 21 acres that's all woods. So I built the aviary so they're little release. I've got a release door in the back of each aviary, and for the birds that I can release right there, on my property, I just open the door and they can come and go until they decide that they want to live back out there in the woods.
They're free to flew the coop, huh?
So to speak.
Well, so your purpose really, and it was interesting, I think you said that for the most part you get them newborn? Is that what?
Yeah, we usually get the young ones. One of our purposes is also to educate the public because probably about half the birds I get in never needed to be rescued in the first place. We've got a lot of, I usually walk people through, they see the parent birds coming very frequently to the nest, and then all of a sudden they don't. And what happens, like with the baby bluebirds, they leave the nest at about 17 to 21 days. but I've had people call and say, the parents were feeding the babies very regularly, and now they're just sitting over on the fence, and the babies are poking their heads out of the bluebird box and just begging for food. I said, yeah, they're trying to get them to leave the house. If it only worked that well with teenagers, is what I usually tell people. But yeah, it's like when, it's like when it's time for the babies to leave the nest, a lot of times the parents just won't come to the nest as frequently to try to get them to, start flying and start learning how to be grown-up birds.
Yeah.
So we're able to educate, because, it's like we release probably about 75% of the baby birds I take in, I'm able to successfully raise and then release back out there. And, I do a good job, but the real mom does, real mom and dad do a better job of raising their babies. So we try to leave them out there if we can.
Okay, so, well, most of us, I say we know about birds building a nest in a tree or a bush or something, and watch them try to feed the youngsters. And sounds like you're saying that a lot of the birds you get in, you shouldn't be getting in anyway. If the
yes.
if the people were educated to know what the birds are doing naturally, then that would take care of itself and lighten your load a little bit, huh?
Just a little bit. Yeah, the robins are the big offenders. They nest close to people, but their nest is so small that the babies don't all fit in as they get bigger. So once they have their feathers, the baby robins will hop out, and they'll be on the ground for like almost a week sometimes, not able to fly very good. But Mama and Daddy are following them around and still feeding them and keeping an eye on them. But people see these birds hopping around, think they need help. And they don't necessarily. It's at that point, well, I always encourage people to keep their cats indoors all the time, because cats are not natural predators for birds. But, if you can't do that, at least be aware of when the baby birds are, if you got baby birds in your yard, if they're out and hopping around, keep the cats and dogs in. And give Mom and Daddy a chance, because Mom and Daddy bird will, lead the babies to safer spots in the bushes and try to keep them away from predators.
So they do positively take care of them physically.
Yes, they do. Yeah. We've had several calls already this year on baby great horned owls. Great horned owls are our earliest nesters, usually about January the eggs hatch, and by the end of February the little great horned owls might be out on the branches of the tree, but a lot of times their nests aren't sturdy enough to hold them. They'll steal a squirrel's nest to lay their eggs in, and then the squirrel's nest falls apart. The baby great horned owls can spend almost a month on the ground learning to fly.
Wow.
But I've already had a couple people contact me about that, and I've either had them just keep an eye on the baby, or in one case the guy went out and bought a wicker basket, climbed up in the tree, nailed the wicker basket to the tree, put the baby back in, and the next morning the mama owl was sitting in the basket with the baby. And people just get so excited, when they realize they don't have to interfere and they can just watch this whole process happen.
Yeah.
It's like just kind of amazing how people get, very excited about that. And it's like, I'm glad to be able to teach them about nature and let them enjoy the whole process.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty incredible. And your organization, is it public, private, some of both, neither?
Some of both. We are funded by private donations, and we have been successful in securing a community foundation, a Middle Tennessee grant, for I think it's been about 6 years now. They've been funding us. We also participate in their Big Payback, their one-day online giving that's going to happen May 3rd this year. But it's midnight to midnight, and you can go online and donate and select Ziggy's Tree as your charity, or I think a lot of the Tullahoma charities are participating in that. You can go in and just, give, it's a $10 minimum donation, but go in, select your charities, make all your donations at once. And that helps us, every year. We usually get at least $600 or $700 from that. Our main source of income, though, actually is individual supporters. People that will bring in an animal to us, And, you know, it's like most people are very generous and will donate, you know.
If they bring you an animal,
It's like they'll go ahead and donate.
Hopefully give you some money to help take care of it.
Yep.
Okay.
And when I can, I try to involve the rescuers in the release as well. We like to, with the adult birds, absolutely we have to get them back where they came from because that's their territory. But even with the babies, we try to get them back to that same area.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, some species actually have dialects, just like we have different accents in different parts of the United States. Birds can be the same way.
Huh. Okay. So a down south robin is not necessarily the same as what out west, yeah? Okay. Well, we actually need to take another short commercial break, folks, and we'll be right back.
Keith Barnett here with the Russell Barnett Automotive family. Over 75% of car shoppers today use the internet to search for their new or pre-owned vehicle. That's why the RussellBarnett.com website is so versatile, where you can check it anytime, all the time, online. You can search through our new and pre-owned inventory by make, model, mileage, or price. We can value your trade-in and get you pre-approved for financing before you even walk in the door. So check out RussellBarnett.com, and remember, why buy anywhere else?
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
It's your trademark. That's something special everyone knows and remembers. It's your thing. It's made holidays special for decades, and summers unforgettable for the entire neighborhood. It's made everyone laugh every single time. Don't let illness or injury keep you from doing your thing. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
We're talking today, folks, with LuAnn Parkington, who is the heads Ziggy's Tree Wildlife Rehabilitation Center in northern Franklin County, and is also associated with a mammal facility that's up in the Las Casas area near Murfreesboro. So, well, LuAnn, let's talk about some of your family, some of your critters.
Okay.
See what your customers are.
Little baby opossum. We always encourage people, if you can safely stop and check Mama Opossum's pouch if you see a dead possum on the road. The possums are our only North American marsupials, just like a kangaroo. And the babies develop, when they're born, technically born, they're the size of a rice kernel. And they climb into Mama's pouch and attach to her and attach to a nipple, and it's like, if they don't get one of those, they're not going to make it. But they develop for about a month or so before they're old enough that we could actually try to rehab them. In Mama's pouch.
Huh.
You got to feel sorry for that Mama, but this one had an injury to the front leg. And got to give a big shout out, Dr. Amy Nichols at Pet Medical Center here in Tullahoma helps us out with any of our injured animals. And they put him through surgery, so sedated him so they could suture up that leg, and he made a full recovery.
Huh.
But with the thing with opossums, people don't like them, think they're ugly. Of course, they see the babies, think they're cute. Opossums can eat the ticks that cause Lyme disease and not be affected by it, so they're very good animals to have around. They also eat dead stuff, so they keep the earth clean, and they can eat venomous snakes. without any ill effects. So they have a very good purpose in this world.
Yeah, it's funny the way nature develops that one, and unfortunately we don't learn enough about it. Okay, what's this cat?
And this guy I wanted to talk about. This is a great horned owl I got in from Murfreesboro last year, and when I got it, this is actually after he died. When I got him in, I thought he was acting very strange, and immediately called Dr. Nichols, said, "Can I bring him in? I think he's eaten a poison rat." And while I was on the way in, I called the center I used to be at out in California, because they've done a lot of studies on rat poisons. Described what I was seeing. They said, "Oh, definitely see if you can get him started on the vitamin K to get the bleeding stopped." So, we gave him, the medication we needed to give him, but he didn't make the night. I sent him down to Auburn for a necropsy, the animal equivalent of an autopsy, and his blood work was off the charts with rat poison. People don't realize that rat poison does not just target the rat. Anything that if you put out rat poison, anything that eats that rat as it's dying or after it's dead is going to get poisoned as well, and most likely is going to die with a lot of the rat poisons they have out there now. And that's including anybody's cats or dogs that may get the poisoned rat.
How big is this guy?
The great horned owl?
Yeah, it's hard to...
he weighs all of about, 3 or 4 pounds.
So
it probably stands about a foot tall or so.
Yeah, okay.
But those talons are powerful.
Yeah, I guess.
His feet are powerful.
And that's the way they protect themselves, isn't it? They've got...
yes, it is. That's the way they catch their food. And great horned owls don't have a sense of smell, because their favorite food is skunk. And people it's like my neighbors usually know when I've gotten a great horned owl in the date of skunk. It smells for a while. And these little guys here, Chimney Swifts, they're one of my favorites to rehab, also one of my most difficult to rehab. They do everything when they fly, so they only eat when they're flying. All my other birds will learn, if I can put, mealworms or seed or berries in the cage, and all the robins, the mockingbirds, the wrens all learn to pick up food on their own. These guys just fly up there with these, open their huge mouths, which you can't tell that they're that big in the picture, but they just up there just flying around catching bugs. All the Chimney Swifts get released here at Tullahoma High School. The big chimneys at Tullahoma High School have a chimney swift roost in them. And one of the years that the Tennessee Ornithological Society went out and counted them, they had 6,000 dropping into that chimney one night. So, the Chimney Swifts do better, getting introduced, because since they can't fly and learn to eat on their own, I need to introduce them into a flock so that they have the adults they're talking to and chattering with and finding the bugs. But
so there's some education going on at Tullahoma High aside from the students, huh? And, okay. You mentioned a little earlier that you are regulated by both a Tennessee and a federal operation, but they don't help you any in terms of money. So it's your money's got to come from someplace else. You were founded, I believe we heard, in 2005 or so?
Yeah, founded in 2005 and then incorporated as a nonprofit in 2010.
Okay. And so in addition to your songbirds, you're also licensed to take care of the larger birds. And there are several of those. And do they fit into particular categories, or you can't use the same methods to take care of all of them, can you?
No, it's like most of my baby songbirds will get an insect diet, because that's what most of them eat as babies. My house finches are the only exception, where there's get all primarily seeds as babies, so we have a formula for them. The bigger birds of prey, the owls and the hawks, and kestrels, which is a smaller bird of prey, all get mice. So I have a very interesting freezer at home.
Yeah.
With I order frozen mice about 600 at a time. With wildlife rehab, it's always important that we network, and I have a friend down in Chattanooga that specializes in the bigger birds. So anything that I get that needs longer-term care goes down to Signal Mountain, to her facility on Signal Mountain. She's got 4 or 5 very large, 50-foot flight cages on her property. Huh. In fact, she's right now taking care of a turkey vulture for me. Got hit by a car down by Huntland.
Okay. Unfortunately, folks, we seem to have run out of time, so we're going to have to take a short commercial break and wrap up.
Buying a vehicle can be hard. It's even harder if you have poor credit health. But let the team here with Dr. Credit at Russell Barnett Kia help you. With our guaranteed credit approval process, we can help you find your next vehicle. But don't just take that from me. Here's a few of our customers and what they had to say.
They said they could approve us, and then the next thing was how much monthly. I thought it was going to be way too much. And sure enough, he did it what we asked for, what we needed it to be. He did it within. He will help you out.
Schedule your appointment with Dr. Credit at Russell Barnett Kia so you can drive away happy.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We've been talking today, folks, with Miss LuAnn Parkington, who heads the Ziggy's Tree Wildlife Rehabilitation Center in northern Franklin County. And she's been educating us on taking care of our natural neighbors. So, LuAnn, how can we help? Is there a word you'd like to get to the public out there that gives you the support you need?
Well, we can always use volunteers. You can call me 393-4835 and talk about what volunteering would include. We're signed up for the Kroger Community Rewards Program. Every time you shop, if you sign up your Community Rewards card, we get money for that. And also Amazon Smile. And the big thing that's coming up, the big payback with the Community Foundation, May 3rd, the one-day online giving. That would be a big help because there are extra prizes for any of the organizations that meet certain criteria, get like the first donation or anything like that.
Okay. So there are ways we can help, and you probably can't get too much help, can you, on that?
No, we can't. So
you need volunteers, and you need some money in order to buy supplies and food and things. So your purpose is to provide medical care and food to get these little natural neighbors of ours to
right back out there,
to come right back out. So thank you for taking the time to join us, and thank you folks for inviting us into your parlor, and we will see you next time.